Star Wars The High Republic Into the Dark was written by Claudia Gray and follows the story of a group of Jedi that all set out on a journey to the Starlight Beacon. However, when their ship is damaged, they have to touch down on a mysterious space station that is derelict in space, and soon they discover that it is overrun with mysterious alien plant life and may have a attachment to the dark side. Guys, like the High Republic books that I've read before this and reviewed on the channel, I was extremely excited for this book being released, especially since it was written by Claudia Gray, who has soon become one of the favorite authors of Star Wars canon in general. Now, sadly, I've only ended up reading one of her books, her first book that she did for Star Wars canon back in 2015, Star Wars Lost Stars, and I genuinely loved that book, and I have been excited to get back into reading Star Wars and reading her material because people seem to really dig it and love it. And so out of all the books, I was maybe the most excited for this one. However, I sadly have to say that this is maybe my least favorite of the books that I have read so far. However, I can still say that this is a very entertaining Star Wars book. It's got a lot of mystery, a lot of heart, great fun characters, some great action, and some great character moments that genuinely surprised me. And that's what this book does really well. It is filled with surprises after surprise, and that is the mark of a really fun and entertaining book. However, it does have some problems along the way that kept me from really enjoying it to the max. Now, I'm sorry that this review is coming out so late after this book has been basically out since February, but there's just been a lot of things on my plate, school, and also just being a little oversaturated with the High Republic, and I needed to take, a few steps back before getting back into it. But I'm ultimately glad I did. First off, I want to say that the character work in this book is fantastic. Every single character in this book is unique. They have their own character arc, they have their own personality, their own wants and needs, and it is genuinely really great to see these different characters work off of each other, and it makes for some great camaraderie throughout the story. Reef basically being our main character, who is a Padawan that is more focused on being a scholar than a great Jedi Knight using his lightsaber to get through situations. And I really related to this character a lot as being a scholar myself. He basically just wants to sit in the Jedi library, in the Jedi archives, and study and learn about the history of the Force, the Jedi, and other things. And I really found that extremely relatable, and it was basically like Claudia Gray inserted me into the story. The other characters are also a lot of fun, a lot of the older Jedi. In fact, there are a couple of chapters spread throughout the book that detail some of the backstory of some of these other Jedi that I found extremely interesting. There's also some really goofy characters too, such as this sentient rock called Geo that doesn't really talk throughout the story, but it's honestly extremely goofy, but it just kind of works, and it makes for just a fun, interesting thing to talk about. There's also a character named Affy who is basically helping to pilot this ship that is taking these Jedi across the galaxy, and she is also a very interesting character that has a lot of baggage dealing with the fact that she's got a overbearing mother, and seeing her kind of learn about the Jedi along the way was really fantastic. She also has a really great art. Her and Reef, I would definitely say, are the main characters of this book, and I think why you should read the book, because they are so well developed, so well realized, and they feel like real people too. There's also a lot of mystery in this book and a twist that I actually didn't see coming. And that is that one of the characters that you meet along the way turns out to be a member of the Nile, which is this villain group that has been introduced in the High Republic as the main antagonists of the High Republic. And it made them extremely interesting because I love what Charles Soule was able to do with them in Light of the Jedi, but here we get to see them in a different way. They feel more like real people instead of just this really bad organization of villains. This time, they feel so well realized that you're like, maybe they're not all bad people. And that was really conflicting while reading the book because of what I had seen in Light of the Jedi. Also, little things that I liked in this book was world building in particular and going into the mythology of the Jedi and the Sith, the light side and the dark side. It was so cool. And I'm not sure if canon has tackled this that much because I haven't really delved into all that canon has to offer, really. But I did find it interesting that they mention that the Jedi Temple is built over top of a Sith shrine. That is something that appears in Legends. And it was really cool hearing that in this story in particular, that they brought that over from Legends into canon, because I think it makes the reason for why the Jedi Temple is where it is so cool. That the Jedi are basically there to conquer over the darkness, to make sure that it doesn't spread throughout the galaxy. And I think that is so cool. But there's a lot of really neat mythological things going on here with the Jedi and the Sith, and it was just really entertaining to read. However, there are some negatives I do have along the way. Now, I will say that I think the second half of the book is a lot better than the first half of the book. Once there's kind of a shift in the middle of the book where the story goes in a completely different direction, it completely changed the story for me, and I really, really enjoyed this book. The first half took a lot of time to get into. There was a lot of characters to get through, and I just wasn't as interested. But the first half is really cool nonetheless. There are some great kind of callbacks to Alien. In fact, I would say that the first half is really inspired by the first Alien film in a lot of ways, and I thought that was cool. However, I found that the character development and character growth was rather slow during this part of the book, and overall the pacing was kind of really hard to get into. I just wasn't as invested as I wanted to be, and that could be due to the amount of characters that are in this book. Now, one of the biggest complaints with Light of the Jedi, with Charles Soule's book, was that there was an abundance of characters and probably too many characters. However, I never had a real problem with that because I was all really interested in those characters. I was invested in learning about them. They were all interesting to me, and the ways that he made me care about them and learn about the Force along the way was extremely engaging. However, here, even though the characters have their own backstories, they have their own agency, they have their own quirks and everything that make them interesting characters, I just wasn't as interested in all of them as I wanted to be. There was a couple of characters I wish that Claudia Gray had maybe cut out and streamlined a little bit more to focus more on Reeve and Affy, maybe. But that is just me because there are a lot of people that are enjoying this book, but it was just a huge complaint for me, and it stopped me from enjoying the book as much as I wanted to. However, I could say that The writing is really, really solid. I think the character work is really good, the mystery is great, and the resolution really makes the book extremely satisfying. So anyway, guys, with all that said, I'm going to give Star Wars The High Republic Into the Dark a 7 out of 10. I almost gave this an 8 out of 10. However, I didn't love this as much as I liked, say, A Test of Courage, because that book just really surprised me with its character growth and everything, that I think a 7 out of 10 is more what this book is. It is still a great book. It is still a really solid, fun read. However, it's probably my least favorite of the main 3 books that we have gotten. However, I can say that I am still extremely excited to continue my journey into the High Republic. I want to start reading a lot more of the comics, as well as I'm looking forward to when the next wave of the High Republic books start coming out. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for you. So as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.